Welcome everybody to a brand new episode of That's a Wrap. I'm Caboose.
I'm Ender the Answer.
And today what we got for you guys here is our review, our non-spoiler review for Captain Marvel. It is in theaters now. We had a chance to go check out the screening. We're going to be bringing you guys our non-spoiler review. Right before we get into everything though, I wanted to ask you guys, of course, if you could leave a like rating on the video as it shows your support. And I would really appreciate it. So if you could leave a like, that would be awesome. And well, let's jump into it. Captain Marvel. I know that there's a lot of controversy surrounding this film.
Yes.
I think a lot of really unwarranted controversy surrounding this film. A lot of trolls on the internet who are hating the movie because of some things that Brie Larson said that they're taking way out of context. So we want to put that aside and simply just give our thoughts on the movie.
Yeah.
We're
trolls,
just talking.
Trolls are going to be trolls. You cannot stop them from coming out. You just cannot.
Yeah. So listen, I got my Captain Marvel pin on here. We went to the screening in Canada, and we got some pretty cool goodies out of it. Why don't I start with you? What did you think of Captain Marvel?
So I liked it, but I didn't love it.
Okay.
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
And you know me.
Interesting.
People call me a Marvel fanboy, although you're wearing the sweater. But I liked it. I didn't love it.
Okay.
I felt it was slow at some parts. It's really a setup for, I think, what she's going to do in Endgame.
Yes.
More so just showing this character. I don't think we got full throttle as well what we can see with this character in this movie.
I agree. So let's start off, because I'm sure we're going to have a couple of complaints that we want to dive a little deeper into. Let's start off with the things that we liked. First of all, I think Brie Larson is fine in the role. I think she does a good job. I think she has some great chemistry with Nick Fury, with Samuel Jackson and Nick Fury. They bounce off each other really well. There's some great comedic moments between the two. And I also love the return of Agent Coulson. He doesn't have a ton of screen time, but the little amount that he is there, it was great to see him back on the big screen.
It was really pleasant to see him. And yes, the jury's still out for me. I've got to see a couple of movies. I always take this back to when they chose Hugh Jackman to be Logan. I was the hateration club of all hateration club, and look at what he turned out to be.
Right.
It takes a few movies sometimes. No, there isn't going to be a home run for me the first movie. The chemistry between Samuel and Jackson was good. The jury's still out for me with her. And if we're talking about things that we liked, I'm sure you're going to say the same things. I like the villains as well. Ben Mendelsohn was great, and he was quite funny.
Yeah, actually he was.
His character was there. There is going to be a couple of twists in this movie that people won't see coming, which makes the movie great for that reason. It's hard to get twists in comic book movies, I guess, as much as we can. So, like I said,
this is a very unconventional Marvel movie.
Yes.
Some people will say that in the sense that it's a little forgettable, it's a bit run-of-the-mill kind of Marvel, but there are a lot of things in Captain Marvel that is very different from the normal, like an Ant-Man and the Wasp is run-of-the-mill Marvel for me.
Yes.
I enjoy it. It's watchable. There's nothing horrible about it, but it's something that you don't go back on repeat viewings because it's that good,
Right.
And I feel like Captain Marvel kind of runs in that same trend.
Right.
But there are very different new ideas in this film, and I appreciated that. Just like you're talking about those twists, some turns, I liked that.
There are some new ideas, and I wish some characters I saw in this film would have got a lot more screen time. Not even a little, a lot more screen time, because I enjoyed a lot of characters in this. And once again, I don't think we're going to be able to see the full throttle power of her. I mean, Captain Marvel is going to be a very powerful hero going forward. There is no doubt about it. But towards the middle of the movie, it was quite slow for me. At one point, I was just like, they're telling a lot of story here, which is needed. But, I always see when the Russos do something, you don't have that 10 minutes of pause ever.
Yeah.
Ever. And you said something good when we were coming up, Caboose. When there is the pause, it's still good. And,
it's still very important.
And you can't always capture that in every movie. I understand that. But it was a little slow for me at first.
So if we're going to transition here into a little bit of our negatives, I agree. The midsection of the movie, the second act, if you will, really drags. There's a lot in this film, because it's an origin story, about Carol Danvers finding out who she is and learning about her past. And I feel that a lot of that really could have been gone over and still provided the same impact in a lot less time than it did in the actual movie. There is a huge focus on it, which I think was fine, but I think it takes away a lot from some action we could have seen, some maybe more important dialogue, some more character interactions that I maybe would have wanted, and the middle section of the movie drags a bit.
I think what kills it too is we know the biggest movie ever is coming in about a month's time. We know that, and we know we're not going to see Captain Marvel in this movie origin story. We're going to see her full throttle, ready to battle, helping the Avengers in Endgame, right? So in this movie, I was trying to go into with the mind frame that I have to accept this movie just for what it is and not think of Endgame, but it's so hard not to do that. So I mean,
I think, though, at the same time, it doesn't act as filler. I feel like this is still an important movie.
It is needed.
Ant-Man and the Wasp was more filler than Captain Marvel was to lead up to Endgame.
Yes, it was real.
So I do think that this movie totally stands on its own. Obviously, there is, it's the movie before Endgame, so there's some setup there. But I appreciated that this movie still tells its own story. It still, focuses completely on Carol Danvers and doesn't worry so much about how it's connected to the next movie. How is everything going to be connected to the next movie? So I liked that aspect of it. But if we're continuing on some of the complaints here as well, I think a big problem I have with the movie, as well as because of the fact that the middle drags a lot, is there is little to no action. Yes. The pacing is off in Captain Marvel. Yes. There's some great action in the opening, and then some pretty good action at the end, but nothing happens in the middle section. And to further
to that point, Caboose, we were talking about, the action was a little sketchy for me. It was a little hard for me to follow. I don't know if the camera was too... It was very weirdly, strangely shot. It was at one point, I was just I was squinting my eyes, I couldn't see who she was hitting or what she was doing. It was a little difficult to see.
Yeah, there's a lot of cuts in the action. I don't know if because we were sitting a little close to the screen due to the seats that we were given during the screening, so maybe that could have played a factor, but I don't know. We saw the screen pretty well, so the action is a little weirdly cut. There's a lot of quick cuts overall in the action. It's just hard to follow.
Quick. And one thing in Marvel true fashion that they do in this, and this is a movie where I saw all throughout the movie there was humor. Yeah. Marvel sometimes picks and chooses their spots. Then you have some serious tone. You have some action. There was consistent humor, I think, in this movie.
I don't know. I mean, I think
quick little jabs.
There were. I think the comedy was well placed. I feel like there was some decent comedy in there, and I mean that didn't bother me too much. And a lot of people have a problem with Brie Larson's Captain Marvel. For me, I thought she was just fine. I thought any issues that she had as a character wasn't because of her acting, but more so because of the writing for her character.
I would say the same, because I was telling you that Brie Larson's a great... I mean,
she won an Oscar.
She won an Oscar. She's a great actress. There's no doubt about it. But sometimes being a great actress, if you're not in the right role, if the plot isn't right, I don't know. Like I said, liked it, didn't love it.
Yeah, no, I agree. I think that's the best way that I can describe Captain Marvel, is that I thought it was just fine. I didn't think it was a complete dumpster fire. I didn't go crazy about it either. But I thought it was just fine. It serves its purpose.
There's some more positives and negatives that we can potentially talk about, but being a non-spoiler, we cannot. So once the people are able to watch it, we can freely speak about it.
I think at the end of the day, though, this is still an important film. It's an impactful film. Just like when Wonder Woman came along, this is a great movie out there for the young women to be able to look up to someone, to be able to see a superhero that they can relate to. Right. So I think that part of the movie, they absolutely nailed.
And it's funny you say that, because one thing I did want to say that I did like, the character does have heart. The character does care. She does care about the bigger things. She has a lot of heart, the character, and you will see that in this movie.
Yeah, I agree. So, hey, let's give our rating for Captain Marvel out of 10. I'm going to kick it off here. I'm going to give this movie a 7 out of 10.
Okay, this really stings for me to say, but I think I'm on the 6.5 out of 10.
Wow. Yes. Are we living in an alternate reality where you love the DC movie and not so much a Marvel movie?
I was torn when we were going to come do this review. I was really thinking about it, but I mean, I've given a lot of 7s. Yeah. Could not give it an 8, 9, or a 10. So I had to go 6.5.
One last thing that I wanted to point out has nothing to do directly with actually things that happen in the movie, but something that Kevin Feige himself has talked about, so it's not really a spoiler. There's an amazing tribute to Stan Lee in the opening few seconds of the movie. Yes. I won't spoil exactly how they do it, but to quote Kevin Feige, or to paraphrase him a little bit, they didn't show it in a way for us to mourn Stan Lee, but more so to celebrate his life.
It was very pleasant. Yeah. And people in the
crowd cheered. Everyone loved it.
It's a really nice way to start the movie.
Yeah, I totally agree. I loved it, and I hope they do something similar for Endgame, because it was an amazing way to pay tribute to Stan Lee. But that's it. That's our review for Captain Marvel. It's in theaters now, so now we're going to kick it to you guys. Let us know your thoughts on the film in the comments section below. And also, keep an eye out. We got an Avengers Endgame countdown coming later today or tomorrow, talking more about Captain Marvel. I'm sure you're excited
and
to be speculating about that.
Because we can talk freely in that one.
Right, right. So with that said, I also wanted to ask you guys once again if you could leave a like rating on the video, as it shows your support, and I would really appreciate it. I'm Caboose.
I'm Ender the Answer.
And you can click on screen to make your way to one of the other videos on the channel, or you can click my logo to subscribe to the channel if you haven't already. Please follow us on Instagram and Twitter, and like us on Facebook. The links are in the description. Drop a like if you enjoyed, leave a comment if you have an opinion, and subscribe if you're new.
That's a wrap.